It was a misty autumn eve when David received the call. He had just been preparing for bed after a long day at the office when his phone rang with an unknown number. Though half tempted to ignore it, curiosity got the better of him. "Hello?" He answered tentatively. Only crackling silence responded from the other line at first. David pulled the phone away to check if the call had been dropped, but the screen still showed it was active. "Hello, is anyone there?" He asked again, a disquieting sensation creeping over him. Then, in a raspy exhale like final breath, a word whispered across the line. "Beware." The disembodied voice sent a chill down David's spine. Before he could respond, the line went dead. Perplexed, he shrugged it off as a prank, though an uneasy feeling lingered as he readied for sleep. In the night, strange sounds disturbed David's slumber. Above the howl of wind, he swore he heard mournful wailing and phantom footfalls in the hall. When he woke, he dismissed it as a dream brought on by the strange phone call. The next day, however, odd occurrences continued. As David made breakfast, doors softly opened and closed of their own volition. Outside, the weather vane spun crazily, though no breeze stirred. Most bizarre was finding all the family photos on the mantel rearranged, as if inspected by unseen eyes. That evening, David sought counsel from his friend, Maya, hoping her pragmatic mind could debunk the day's bizarre events. Over coffee, he recounted all that transpired. Mia listened thoughtfully, then said, "There's surely a rational explanation. Perhaps the house is settling, or you've been under stress. But if it would ease your mind, we could investigate further." Her offer was tempting, yet David worried probing may stir further strangeness. Still, dismissing the disturbances as stress seemed unjustified, given their mounting frequency. "All right," he relented, "but where do we even start?" Maya smiled knowingly. "I have an idea. Meet me tomorrow night after sundown." David had a feeling he would come to regret this decision, yet the mystery was now too enticing to ignore. If answers lay anywhere, perhaps they would be found where Maya proposed. The long-abandoned Eldridge Manor looming at the edge of town, shrouded in rumors of hauntings for over a century. What secrets of the estate would reveal themselves beneath the light of the coming full moon? The setting sun bathed Eldridge Manor in an eerie orange glow as David and Maya approached through the mist. Shrouded woods, ivy had overrun decaying stone walls surrounding the estate, swallowing arched entryways whole. "Are you sure about this?" David whispered, nerves mounting. Maya smiled reassuringly. "We'll be safe, as long as we stick together." They entered under a rotting iron archway into a weed-choked courtyard. Once, elegant fountains lay cracked and dry. Dead trees clawed skeletal hands at the darkening sky. A sprawling manor rose ahead, windows like hollow eye sockets staring down in accusation. Chipped marble steps led to immense oaken doors, hanging ajar, beckoning them within like a funerary invitation. As they crossed the threshold, torches magically flared to life, illuminating a grand foyer in haunting flickers. Dust sheet, draped furniture stood watch like ghosts. A tattered tapestry portrayed a manor's glittering past, now faded into memory. "Hello?" David called, voice echoing emptily. Only their shadows danced in reply. They began exploring side rooms, carpeted in cobwebs. Maya studied moldings bearing crumbling family crests, while David flipped through a moldering guest book filled with looping signatures from a genteel era now lost to time. A noise upstairs made them freeze. Probably rats or the wind. Mia breathed, though uncertainty tinged her words. They climbed creaking stairs to investigate further. The bedroom they entered lay trapped in dilapidation. Canopied floor, poster rotting. Beneath, shredded drapes, dark stains, marred wallpaper where portraits once hung. David heard faint whispers and spun, seeing only their flickering shadows. He laughed nervously. This place is getting to me. What do you suppose happened to cause the hauntings? Before Maya could answer, a mighty crash sounded from below like a piece of the house, collapsing inward with a tired sigh. They ran to the balcony, peering through the murk. Nothing appeared amiss in the foyer below. A groan made the hair on David's neck stand up, as if the very manor voiced anger at their intrusion. In that moment, they realized with sinking dread, they were not alone. What sinister entity lurked Eldridge Manor's rotting bones? The dim foyer now felt oppressive as David and Maya cautiously descended the stairs. They huddled close, scanning the gloom for signs of movement. This manor must hold haunted history, Mia whispered. Let's search for records that could explain recent phenomena. David nodded, though he doubted lore from a century past could ease present unease. They combed cobwebbed studies for manuscripts amongst scattered tomes. In a leather-bound volume, Mia discovered ancestry of Eldridge's first family. Gabriel Eldridge, founder and patriarch, came to these lands in 1815. Within a decade, Eldridge Manor stood complete with Gabriel's new bride, Charlotte, at his side. As Maya read snippets of Eldridge prosperity, David noticed a hidden door behind a portrait. Pushing aside the frame revealed a narrow staircase spiraling down. "Come look at this." He beckoned nervously. At the bottom lay a dusty wine cellar, walls lined with empty racks. A single torch, still guttered, illuminating chains and shackles, bolted to crumbling brick. Dread pooled in David's stomach. What happened here? Maya's expression grew grave as she flipped manuscript, pages describing the Eldridges' decline. Kine, 1850, cholera swept the region. While neighbors succumbed, Gabriel refused relief efforts, claiming God willed the plague. Then, in 1856, a series of suspicious accidents took Gabriel's sons. A shriek pierced the manor, cutting short Maya's recital. They bolted up the cellar steps to search the murk. "Hello?" David called fearfully. Only frigid silence answered. Another cry, this time pained and drawn. It seemed to come from the ballroom. Hurrying over debris, they threw open twin doors to reveal a figure suspended above in a noose. But as torchlight fell upon the corpse, David recoiled in horror. It was not real. Only shreds of damp cloth dangling from broken rafter beams. They fled that cursed place, pursued by phantom wails, begging release from this earthly coil. In the manor's decaying walls, shadows whispered of sins that refused to remain buried. The grand ballroom now seemed a tomb as David and Maya hurried within, bolting its door hopelessly behind them. They huddled together, listening to the manor's drear whispers with shuddering dread. "We need to get out of here," David said through chattering teeth. But as they approached the door, it rattled violently in its frame, as if gripped by unseen hands, denying their escape. They backed away in terror, watching in horror as a torrent of rats crawled from the walls, advancing with beady eyes and bared teeth. David swung his torch wildly, wielding it like a club. The vermin retreated shrieking into the shadows, as if following some vengeful will. A scream pierced the darkness, ethereal and despairing. They spun to glimpse a female apparition drift past smashed stained glass, tattered wedding gown billowing in her wake. Charlotte, Mia breathed, recalling lore of Gabriel Eldridge's bride. Where floors had rotted away, they glimpsed the carriageway far below, and winding wooded road vanishing into a murk, thicker than mere night. What malign force pulled souls into its veil? The spirit materialized before them, livid wounds slashing her spectral flesh. Bony fingers reached towards David, icy breath trembling with final words. Did this. Before she could finish, the apparition was dragged violently away by shadows, her wails fading into the manor's drear waltz. David knew their lives now hung by a thread in this funereal ballroom. Unless they acted swiftly, they too would be claimed for whatever vengeful power reigned Eldridge Hollow. Rushing the door, they pushed with all their might. Wood splintered, rending a narrow passage to the dim hallway. They fled just as the very floor collapsed where they stood moments before, plummeting into a decaying abyss. Their pursuer's wrath had been made clear. None could bear witness to Eldridge Manor's sins and depart unscathed. David and Maya sprinted through the crumbling labyrinth, the manor's creaks and groans enclosing around them like the walls of a crypt. We must draw its wrath to us, so the other can escape. David panted, "No." "Together or not at all," Maya protested. They burst from a stairwell onto the widow's walk, buffeted by howling gales. Below, the courtyard was lost to an impenetrable fog. Dimly, they spied flickers in the murk and heard pained voices begging mercy. The apparition solidified upon the mist. Charlotte Eldridge, flanked by two young men, suspended by nooses, ghosts imprisoned by the manor's funereal shroud. Before them appeared Gabriel Eldridge, visage distorted with malice as he tormented their spirits, endlessly. This place is an open wound, never allowed to heal, Mia realized with horror. They turned to flee, but the balcony door slammed behind spectral hands. They were trapped with the vengeful dead. Unless we can break the cycle of abuse, all souls will remain in torment, David whispered. Maya nodded grave determination. We stand together, calling on courage. They faced the banshee wind and addressed Gabriel directly. Your reign ends this night. Release those you've tortured and let all spirits find peace. Gabriel howled in outrage, but could not drown their voices rising in solidarity and love to pierce his funereal veil. Behind him, Charlotte and her sons found strength, grasping each other in comfort as the mists lifted from their memory. With final vengeance, the ghosts turned as one upon their tormentor. Gabriel let loose an inhuman shriek as the dead pulled him into their realm, his evil destroyed and their bonds severed at last. Wind dropped to silence. David helped Maya to her feet, gazing upon Eldridge Hollow wiped clean beneath the full moon. Humanity's oldest enemy now vanquished. In that hallowed glade, tranquility was restored. Could they now find release of their own? David and Maya walked through the quiet woods, surrounding Eldridge Hollow, sunlight dappling the mist, drifting between trees. After their ordeal at the manor, escaping its walls had been cathartic, yet phantoms lingered at the edge of thought. Do you think the spirits found true rest? Mia wondered softly. David nodded, hoping it was so. They had borne witness to a painful past long hidden, resolving sins through compassion. Yet scars of such encounters could not vanish as easily. Coming upon the winding road, David paused to turn back at Eldridge Manor atop the hill. Weathered stone glinted golden in dawn light, no longer exuding malice. It seemed a relic finally released from dark obsession, able to crumble without tormenting lost souls. Perhaps, in time, green life would reclaim and hide all traces of past afflictions. "Let's go watch the sunrise," Mia said gently. Together they walked the carriageway to a bluff overlooking glimmering fields. Warmth bathed their faces as a glorious star sank below the rippling earth. In that radiant moment, shadows lifted from David's mind. He now glimpsed how mortal fears distorted perception of eternity's balance. All things passed in due course. All things passed in due course. All souls found refuge, though memories lingered a while in this realm. Maya took his hand, and he knew her spirit had been steeled, but not broken by their ordeal. In facing terror, they triumphed through fellowship, and in sharing this dawn, old wounds would gradually mend. David smiled, breathing deep the fragrant breeze. A new day had come, and with it, hope that mysteries unveiled need not haunt, but in spirit life's unfolding journey. For wherever shadows gather, light and love will rise to dispel darkness, so long as humanity remembers its capacity for both. Their story at Eldridge Hollow was over. But in its aftermath, David and Maya found solace, knowing bonds of courage and compassion outlast any ghost. And for now, that was enough.